Welcome to hell. There is no escape. There is no escape. You are in my control now. Welcome to hell.
And they'll take you one by one, and no one will hear you scream. No one will hear you scream.
Welcome to Hell Team Doom. Welcome back for another episode of Let's Talk About Horror with your host, Walter Doom. And I am back out of nowhere. I don't even know, man. Like, the last time I talked to y'all, man, I had my boy Marco Estes. You know, we sat here, talked about Prey for a little bit. I hope y'all checked out that last episode, because that was a very entertaining episode. It was a fun conversation with Mark, man. I always have a good conversation with Mark. That dude, he pretty much has like a lot of knowledge about horror. I mean, he literally like reads up on a lot of things, all the different like behind the scenes books, and look at different documentaries. I mean, I wish I was on that type of level, my nigga. I'm gonna say that right now. You know, honestly, I mean, I wouldn't say like I'm bad at like knowing shit, but it's just I'm not really good with like knowing everything or knowing every nook and cranny details, or could tell like, oh my god, so in the first like 15 minutes of the movie I could tell you like what the hell is happening. Honestly, I'm not that type of dude. You know, I mean, let's be honest. If I could be honest for a second, you know, but I wouldn't say like I'm totally ignorant or like totally dumb to like knowing what goes on in a movie, or I try to study up on who makes what and how their styles are. I mean, it takes a while. It takes a while. So, I mean, for me, I mean, I always say like, you know, I'm the podcast for people that are horror noobs, or like people who are recently getting into horror, or maybe just like, you know, people that aren't really horror fans per se, but you know, they kind of like the genre. Maybe they're kind of afraid of the genre a little bit. And I kind of want to bridge that gap between those people and all that to let y'all know, man, like, y'all, not all horror is Nightmare on Elm Street or Jason, you know. Not everything is fucking Exorcist, you know. You got your Night Houses, you got your Last Night in Soho's, you got your Don't Worry Darlings, which I am hearing pretty much bad things about that film. I mean, I have not seen that movie yet. My girl Megan's World, she went and saw the movie on this opening weekend. I asked her, like, yo, is it even worth watching this movie in theaters? Already, she said, just wait for it to come on Amazon. So, yeah, I think that says enough for me on what I'm going to do. But I mean, if y'all actually seen the movie, I want to hear y'all opinion about it. You know, if you have an opinion about it. I mean, if don't let me be the end all be all of opinions about movies and everything. But anyway, welcome to Let's Talk About Horror, y'all. This is episode 83. And also, it's a very special episode because this actually technically last month, September 9th, actually marked the 4 years of this channel. 4 year mark. 4 year mark. I would have to say, like, when I was doing the episode with Mark, I actually didn't realize I was hitting my 4 year mark. I kind of missed that. That was a big chance to have a really good conversation about this channel. But if y'all have been following me for a while, you know, since the beginning, I mean, before we even had like a intro, before there was a Callie the Wolf or Algorithm C providing beats for this show. Before there was like Enoch X Mortis, um, Balrock Kang, or just even a Megan's World or Daimi Horror stopping by the show. This show was literally just me finding my footing. You know, I am somebody that always likes to take on a lot of hobbies. I mean, I never been like a really good student in school. I could tell y'all that right now. But I feel like most of the time when I was in school, there was always this constant battle of being good and just not really trying because, in my household, it wasn't like so much emphasis on school or anything like that. I mean, it was an emphasis of like, get your education, go to 4 years, get your degree and all of that, but it wasn't quite pushed like the way it should have been, growing up in a single parent household. That could really be tough for a parent to raise like three kids and trying to like get them to all focus on the shit that they need to do. But I'll admit, like, I wasn't a very great student in school, honestly. And for me, I mean, I would say like majority of it is like sometimes just me not really feigning much interest in like whatever topics is being talked about. Or it was just like this tug and pull of just like not trying to draw attention for being too smart because back in like the early well, not the early 90s, I'm not that fucking old, but back in the 90s, 2000s, I don't know if this is still going on in schools right now, but it was never really like ideal to look too smart. And it sounds dumb as it is, and the more I think about it, it's like that was a really fucking dumb mentality a lot of people had. But it was like you couldn't look too smart because it's like it would isolate you from like a lot of the other kids. And one thing I didn't want to be was kind of isolated because I felt already isolated enough, you know, especially like when I started like going from like private schools to public schools and everything. So for me, it was like a huge culture shock because it was just like, well, I don't want to stand out too much because that draws like all the bullies and all that shit. But I mean, I would say like, anybody that's going through that, if you're a kid listening to that shit, man, fuck them bullies, bro. Because in the end, like, them motherfuckers don't mean shit. Like, their opinions really don't mean shit at the end of the day. Most of the time when people bully people is because they feel insecure about something about that person. Me, I always kind of felt like I knew myself in a way. I knew I like kind of like the things that are like horrific, like horror and everything. I've always been like enamored by movies like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, even though I never watched those movies, or even The Exorcist, even though I never watched that movie as a kid, I was always kind of like drawn to it. It was always like something I wanted to watch and get into. And I mean, even though I was afraid of Chucky for the longest, it didn't really steer me away from like all things horror because I love things like Real Monsters or even fucking Are You Afraid of the Dark? And I mean, even like with shows like fucking Power Rangers or Scooby Doo, there's horror elements sometimes. And I'm only saying Power Rangers because if you look at some of those monsters, bro, those monsters are really kind of scary if you see them motherfuckers in real life. I'm gonna just say that right now. But yeah, for me, I've always kind of been into horror since like a kid. I always used to write about horror, and I kind of mentioned this before several times in earlier episodes. I used to write a lot of horror stories as a kid. And, me being like an awkward person, because I'm a super awkward person in real life, you know, but being a super awkward person, not many people got that, and for kids, it's like, they see you doing something, if they feel like, because I usually write about real life, real life people, And I kind of like, write about real people, but in fake scenarios. Nothing real, but, people who find out about that, which they always say you gotta be careful about the people you keep around you. Some people didn't like some of the things I had to write about, or what I was writing about, I should say, you know? But I say for anybody that's like a kid that's like, they feel like what they like, whether it's horror, anime. I mean, I feel like now in this day and age, anime is not really frowned upon because, a lot of anime geeks are coming out on Instagram, people like that. And everybody all of a sudden is an anime expert, that's beyond fucking Dragon Ball Z and Naruto. But I gotta say, like, yeah, grow up in late 90s, early 2000s. Y'all niggas wouldn't even be talking about fucking anime or Dragon Ball Z. Y'all would keep that shit under wraps. Let's face facts. But yeah, like if you're just somebody that's into anime cosplays, even black cosplayers, do that fucking shit, bro. Do that fucking shit, cause you never know where it could lead you. But for me, I've always been like into hobbies, and this is one of the hobbies that I decided to really get into because I wanted to do something that was like really expressive to the love of horror that I have. You know, Again, I'm not the biggest expert in the world. I mean, to be honest, I mean, nobody really is a true expert because there are so many horror movies in this world. And I mean, there's so many different like stories that are being told. There are so many movies that are being made in different ways. There's the mainstreams, there's the B horrors, there's the independents. I mean, it's just like, there's like the fan made, there's so many different outlets that are out there. It's impossible for anybody to call themselves an ultimate horror fan or ultimate horror nerd. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like that knowledge is pretty limited, you know? And I read this book sometime this year. It's called Grit. And the one thing that I read, which I thought was really good advice, and if y'all never heard this before, let me be the first motherfucker to tell you this. If you don't feel like you're smart about something, don't feel that way at all. Because somebody who feels smart and feels like, they don't have to study or do anything like that, they grow in the habits of being lazy, bro. Like dead ass, you know? And it's actually true because I remember when I was a kid, I thought being smart was just enough to get you by. It was never really like told to me as a kid, like, you got to study as well. So if I'm doing mediocre in class, it's because my ass didn't study, you know? I'm going based off of memory, being the arrogant little shit that I was as a kid, and thinking like, okay, that's good enough to get me by, but that's really not. You got to put in the hours, you got to put in the time, you got to put in the work. Like the same thing with this podcast. I try and relate this podcast to like athletic training, like watching films, that's your training right there. You know what I'm saying? Reading articles, that's your training right there. That's your strength training, you know? Like it's different things that you just like looking at. I'm looking at other podcasts, that's your, strategizing and learning about different like strategies or learning from like different opponents. Or I'm using opponents in like a loose term, by the way, on how they kind of do their podcast so you could see what you could take from it and implement it into your own. You got to see it as that. But yeah, I try and relate this to like just straight up like, an athletic work because literally that's what this shit is. It's not really athletic like physical athlete, but this is a mental and memory based type hobby, you know? And sometimes it's a hobby where you have to learn how to think quick and learn how to kind of like communicate and talk to your audience about like the different things that you want to talk about. So yeah, I mean, this in a way, this is kind of like an athletic journey or an athletic training session, you know, like this recording right now is literally game time. You know, y'all listening to the podcast, y'all listening to the game. This is the game right here. You know what I'm saying? But I got into this podcast because I wanted like something to really kind of like focus my love for horror and kind of like meet more people who are like-minded as myself. Now, again, I'm not that knowledgeable, but I still wanted to do this podcast. But one night, because for the longest I wanted to do like a video game channel. I'm a big video game player, maybe not like a video game nerd, but I do like playing video games. You know, I had a Game Boy, the first Game Boy when I was a kid. And I really did enjoy that as a kid playing it a lot. I still got that shit, by the way, and it still fucking works. I just need batteries for that bitch. But yeah, like one day I was just like watching, I forget how this came about, but I feel like I was watching Scream 4, and you know, just like randomly, for whatever reason, I was just like, I should make a podcast about horror movies, you know? I mean, I've watched like literally during that time, I should say, I literally watched all the Screams, all the Chuckies, all the Friday the 13th movies, all the Saw movies, because I mean, if y'all didn't know, I mean, if y'all know me personally, y'all know Saw is my favorite film. And for the most part, y'all should know also that Terrifier is literally like my favorite movie, you know, second, I should say, as far as like horror movies go, you know, that's literally like my second favorite movie right now because of how gory it is, because I'm a big fan of like, you know, slasher films or big mainly like gory type movies, you know, because I always like seeing like how fucked up and mutilated these fucked up characters get in these movies. So yeah, so one day I was just like, okay, let's go ahead and start this horror thing. First episode I talked about was Veronica and the Babadook movie. Now, if y'all ever listen to that episode, y'all should know like back then my little engineering skills that I'm starting to gain a little bit. Shouts out to my boy Malco for that help. But yo, my knowledge was not that great with like just like handling anything. You know, I just got a mic, took some notes, and wasn't great notes, by the way. And just got behind a mic, and I just was so awkward, so nervous, I should say. I mean, I'm still kind of nervous to this day, but it's a little more chilled now because I'm kind of used to doing this shit now, because I mean, it's been 4 years. I mean, should be some comfortability there. But yeah, just like sat there and talked, you know? I tried my best to do like weekly episodes, I feel like, but they weren't becoming weekly because again, life and work, you know, that shit. When you got a day job, you can't really bring out like or come out with like different episodes every week, man. That shit is tough. You know, I give respects to those people who are juggling full-time jobs and they're pumping out like fucking weekly episodes of their podcast, and they're very active on social media. I can't do that shit, my nigga. I'm gonna say that right now. I can't do that shit. That shit is tough. My nigga, I need a break. But yeah, like I would say like I had some really good episode ideas. They were still kind of like rough on the edges, but they were fun stuff that I was talking about. Between talking about like different movies that I've watched, again, like Veronica, the Babadook, which I totally gave like the most fucked up review about that movie because I hated that movie back then. I'm gonna be straight up with y'all. I hated that movie back then, but I love the Babadook now because I could understand the nuance of that movie after I watched this one documentary on Amazon that kind of like talked about the similarities or like the metaphor of the Babadook dealing with like depression and grief, and just like how the character Amalia was being depressed and how her character was dealing with that depression, and just like how like the Babadook is a real symbolism for real depression. I was like, yo, I actually really like this movie. This movie is actually really good. So yeah, definitely different respects for the Babadook. That shit moved on. Um, in 2020, of course, because I feel like 2018 it was like very few films that I saw from that year because I was only focusing on movies on stream. 2019 I believe I started like focusing more on mainstream films because I wanted to do like a best of 2019 list, which I did, and I actually listed all the movies that I've watched during that year of 2019. And I can't remember how many films there were, but I'm pretty sure it was like either 30 to 40 films that were listed from best, well, from worst to best, I should say, because that's how the countdown was going. But in 2020, that's when all the collabs started, shouts out to Daimi Horror for being the first guest. Her and I have a mutual friend that she used to work with back in the day. I linked up with her. We linked up on this podcast and we just like, you know, talked it out, made podcast gold. At least I like to say it's podcast gold. But yeah, ever since then, Daimi, she's been a good friend, just like being part of the horror universe, doing her thing out there. Um, so yeah, yeah, just give a big shout out to Black Girls Love Horror too, and shouts out to Megan's World when she started to come on to the podcast as well. You know, there's a story behind that that we'll probably talk about another time. Maybe it'll be a World of Doom episode, wink wink, but who knows? But yeah, shouts out to Megan. She's been really good and very instrumental in like just being a part of like my life and what have you, and just like being kind of like a backbone to just like positive input and what have you about like the podcast or just like anything going on with me and what have you. But shouts out to her. Shouts out to my boys, Algorithm C and Callie the Wolf. Those guys really came through. I knew Callie since high school. Man, big 3-6 Mafia fan, bro. Like, big 3-6 fan. And, when he wanted to come on the show, deliver some beats to me, I was like, for sure, man, like just come through. Just definitely help your boy out. I didn't ask for it. He came to me, just to let y'all know, and I couldn't turn him down because I just felt like, what, this is a good opportunity for the both of us to kind of like show what we can do, as like creators ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I don't like the whole like, I want to say, I feel like it's politics, of like people who want to collab with people, motherfuckers that only want to collab with people because, oh, they got X amount of followers, so this is gonna give them exposure. But half the time it's like, nigga, if niggas want to follow you, niggas will follow you. Niggas are not gonna fuck with you if you're not being genuine. And for me, it was like, getting my boy Callie to be on the show and talk about like different movies and playing games and all that. It was definitely like, a good experience that we have, right there. Because it was genuine. It was like, two dudes who used to like hang out at high school, just like making podcast magic and what have you. So shouts out to him, shouts out to Algorithm C, man. I knew him probably longer than Kelly the Wolf, because he went to the same high school I went to. Actually, he went to like this one high school I went to in the ninth grade, because I didn't know Kelly until I was in the 11th grade and I was at a different school. But yeah, I knew Algorithm C since I was like 14 years old, man. And it's funny because like I only like knew this dude because I used to go to the basketball court sometime and play ball there, during like lunch, and he'll be out there hooping and what have you. I'm trying to remember if we had a class together. I don't think we had a class together, but we definitely did hoop on the basketball courts and what have you, man. And then he went to like the summer school where I actually was going to high school at when I was like about 16 years old. So yeah, I mean, me and this guy, we got like major history. Then he eventually went to the same college I went to, and he knew a couple of people I knew, and it was just like, yeah, I mean, that's my boy, Algorithm C, man. Much love to that guy, has a great family and what have you, man. So nothing but love for that man. So yeah, it was like welcoming to know like he wanted to like send some beats over to the show to kind of help me out, because he was just like, hey man, I kind of noticed like you don't really have many beats for your show. I could send you some beats if you want. And I'm just like, oh yeah, man, definitely, for sure, man. Definitely, I'll be down for that, you know? So yeah, shouts out to Algorithm C and Kelly the Wolf for supplying the beats. But for most of all, I mean, I know it ain't that many of y'all Team Doom motherfuckers out there, Team Doom Nation. Hey, we gotta get to that point one day. Team Doom Nation. Oh man, but I mean, let's be honest. I am really not trying to be famous or popular. I mean, let's be real. I just want to be stable, bro. I just want to like make a decent income and just be stable. Even if it is like doing podcasts, it's just like, yo, if I could make money off the podcast, that'll be chill. I'm just being real, But it's like I said before, I don't really do this for the money. I'm not getting paid for this shit, I'm only on here because I love being on here, and I like doing something that kind of makes me happy. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm fortunate enough right now that I don't have too many like haters. But I guess I'm not doing anything right if I don't got haters or anything like that, but fuck them. But either way, shouts out to the people that fuck with me on a regular. So I mean, let's clap it up. Let's clap it up. Let's clap it up. Let's add those claps in there. That clap sample, because Team Doom, y'all actually do make this show what it is. Especially when y'all trolling me on fucking social media. But we'll talk about that shit later. But anyway, I know I kind of went on like a bit of a rant right now, just talking about the show. But I mean, it's been 4 years, so I think it was well enough like a moment to talk about and just like kind of give y'all like my feelings about the show. But all I gotta say is, welcome to the motherfucking show. Yeah. Yeah, and shouts out to the people I haven't given a shout out yet to. I mean, Desi, Dr. Gould, man, Dr. G. He is a real funny man. I mean, that man, he stayed in character the whole damn time. If y'all listen to that interview. But shouts out to him. Shouts out to Enoch X Mortis again. Shouts out to Balrog Kang. And shouts out to the whole Apotheosis crew. Shouts out to Jay Adams. Shout outs to Claire Bacon. I feel like I'm forgetting some people. I mean, shouts out to the ghoul friends, girlfriends. I don't think they're called girlfriends. The fuck? I'm thinking of Tracy Ellis Ross, ghoul friends. But either way, yeah, shouts out to Story and Mars. I feel like there's some other motherfuckers that I'm forgetting. Oh, shouts out to Jeremy, Um, shouts out to Spencer the Gamer, who was on my podcast for the Halloween episode. Shouts out to my boy Jay Gucci, shit. Fuck, I'm forgetting some other motherfuckers. Shouts out to of course, the only show that I was a guest on, the Sauce Talk, Shouts out to Ray, shouts out to Dylan. And of course, shouts out to Megs, man, but yeah, other than that, yeah, we're gonna go ahead, take a break real quick. And when I come back, I don't even know what the fuck that I sounded like I have like some cotton in my mouth. We're gonna take a break real quick. And when I come back, we're going to talk about a couple of things that have been going on throughout the week with me, or throughout the weeks, I should say, with me, because it's been a long time since we done an episode. I don't even know where that song came from, but yeah, like you shouldn't say in a scary movie, motherfucker. I'll be right back. See ya. All right, yeah. While this is a post-recording, I kind of forgot to shout outs to Marco Estes, man. Yeah, shouts out to you, big dog. Like, kind of forgot a little bit, because again, like I said, I was forgetting some people, but just know that you're not being forgotten, because I was thinking to myself while doing the damn thing, like, damn, did I shout out Mark? But nah, just doing a post-recording. Shouts out to Marco Estes, and yeah, of course, I'll be right back. And we're back, y'all. And even though it's supposed to be spooky season and fall, y'all, it don't even feel like that here in this bitch. It feels like fucking summer still. It's hot as a motherfucker right now. I mean, if y'all from California, y'all should know how hot it is right now. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it does not feel like it is fall. I gotta say, for the first time, I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all watched this movie already, was Nope, and I gotta say right now, this is definitely a top 10 movie. I'm sorry, sorry to spoil it for anybody that hate this movie, but it is literally a top 10 movie. And I say it's a top 10 movie because I gotta say, like, I know a lot of people were probably waiting for like a Jordan Peele woke moment happening, like in Candyman or like Get Out, or even like a little bit of Us, even though there wasn't really like much wokeness in Us. But I guess the wokeness for Us would be like, dealing with class and everything. But there's a lot of subtext that goes into Nope that I feel like a lot of people probably didn't catch. I was talking with Megan, and she's seen the movie already, and we were talking about how, like, in this movie, a lot of the subtext comes from like the animals in this film, and for me, I mean, I haven't watched anything on TikTok because I fucking hate TikTok, by the way. Or anything on YouTube dealing with talking about Nope. But for me, being somebody that's using their eyes and kind of know a thing or two about the Black experience, I thought this movie was more good at like giving us a film about like the Black experience, somewhat, not fully, but some of the Black experience sprinkled into the film, but without being so heavily reliant on it. And I thought that was good. I thought it was a good pull away from like what Jordan Peele is usually associated with as a director or writer. I do like the twist of the film about the alien spacecraft that's in the film, or should I say the aliens themselves. If you have not seen that movie, I will not spoil it for you because that's a movie to definitely watch. I know right now it's on VOD and streams and all that, like Amazon rentals and shit like that. But moving forward now, I kind of want to talk about some things that I kind of saw in the news. So, as y'all know, it's October. You know, it's spooky season, super spooky season. Make sure y'all check out my 31 Days of Horror list. You know, we got, if y'all got Tubi, you know, there's a lot of movies on Tubi now. Actually, it's only Tubi movies because I feel like that's something everybody should get and it's free. So yeah, if y'all got Tubi, you know, check those movies out. But yeah, as y'all know, it's October. Chucky season 2 is coming out, my nigga. I can't wait. But I'm hoping that because I ain't got cable, my nigga, like I'm hoping that with Chucky, they released the episodes the next day on not Paramount, but on Peacock the next day. I'm just saying, I literally had to wait close to like the end of the fucking season, or actually, I had to wait till the end of the fucking season to watch all those damn episodes. Well, actually, not all the damn episodes. I actually watched majority of the episodes on the USA Network app. But I mean, that's beside the point, my nigga. Either way, I literally had to wait. I feel like I think it was like in December for all the episodes. Well, for the rest of the episodes, it was only like 3 episodes, by the way. For the rest of the episodes of Chucky to come out. But I can't wait. I can't wait to see what they do with Glenda. It's supposed to be like a really crazy season. I really don't remember much about like the news. I just remember Glenda and that's about it. I'm gonna be honest. But I do want to know what's going to happen to Nika concerning like what happened in season 1 when Tiffany took away like all her arms and legs and shit. Now it's really fucked up. I mean, when I saw that, I was like, oh fuck. How, like, why? Like, already, like, the bitch can't walk. You know, I mean, I get that she could walk whenever Chucky is like possessing her. But it's like the bitch can't walk already. Now you taking her inability to move her arms, bathe her ass, wash her ass, jerk a nigga off with her hands, you know? Like, it's like, you know, like, damn, like, what the fuck can she do? You know, I mean, I guess now she just uses her mouth all the time, you know? I mean, the Glock 3000 should be hitting real fire now, like, because damn, you can't get a hand job anymore. But, yeah, so, season 2, I can't wait to watch that shit. So yeah, let's hope that season 2 isn't a letdown. They're bringing back Devon, and I gotta say, I was kind of upset to see Devon's mom get killed in season 1. So yeah, I can't wait to see like how that character kind of deals with that trauma. Um, Andy fucking Barclay, that's my nigga. You know, I can't wait to see Alex Vincent back and what have you. It's always exciting to kind of see that character or just like old characters, but all grown up kind of come back. And I feel like Halloween is trying to duplicate that same shit with the newer Halloween films. But oh my God, dude, Halloween is so fucking terrible. I'm sorry to anybody that really loves that franchise, but I'm sorry. Like, it's only so much I could take from watching a nigga walk really slow. Like he's the fucking Undertaker and shit. I mean, I know the Undertaker takes like fucking 25 minutes to come down down the ramp and everything and down to the ring. But my God, I can't watch a fucking 2-hour long movie of Michael Myers moving slowly and slowly. Yeah, I'm so over the the franchise. That's why I can't wait to watch Ends and to see how everything is concluded because I do want to see how all of this concludes. I am hoping that they're putting an end to this franchise. I'm just hoping. Another thing that I want to talk about is Art the Clown. Are y'all motherfuckers ready to see Art the fucking Clown in theaters? I know I am. I don't know if I'm gonna see him in theaters, but I don't know how they managed to get this movie in theaters. I'm gonna be honest. Like, if y'all ever seen Terrifier 1, I mean, I know Saw is gory, but my God, my nigga Art the Clown, he don't fuck around. Honestly. Beside the point of like this nigga's cutting a bitch down straight from her coochie all the way down to her head, you know, which I gotta say, I mean, that scene had to be living in everybody's head rent free when they first saw this movie. Cause I'm pretty sure when they saw this shit, they was like, oh man, y'all niggas ain't gonna show this shit. And then when they saw this shit, they was like, oh, what the fuck? At least I was. I mean, if you did not go, what the fuck, no matter what stage you were in, and I'm gonna tell you this, when I watched Terrifier for the first time, I was drunk as fuck. I was just sitting there late night, Saturday night. Everything is pretty much chill for me. You know, it's just my regular Saturday and what have you of being at home. You know, I'm drinking a nice cup of like, well, I feel like at the time I was drinking like whiskey and what have you. So I was probably drinking like some fucking either Wild Turkey or some fucking Sailor Jerry's, but that's like a fucking rum. But anyway, beside the point, I was sitting there watching that movie, you know, probably eating some Jack in the Box. Cause I used to order Jack in the Box a lot. But yeah, sitting there watching this movie, and I'm sitting here watching this nigga hang this bitch butt ass naked, upside down and shit. I'm just like, okay, we finally get to see some titties in this movie. Gotcha, I love it. I didn't think he was gonna cut her down from her pussy. I just thought he was gonna slit her neck, you know, or just like cut around her body, you know, just like any normal horror movie, you know, does, you know, or any gory horror movie does. You know, I thought we were gonna see some guts spill out or some shit like that. But when that nigga ripped her drawers off, and I was like, oh, okay. And you know, Tara's in the sink like, you know, just screaming and shit. I'm just like, okay, they ain't gonna show this shit, you know. He's gonna cut her, but we ain't gonna see the good shit, you know. So he's sitting there plotting and shit. He's sitting there like, ooh, what am I gonna do? You know, with that Art the Clown smile shit he got going on. He's like, ooh, I'm about to cut this bitch real good, you know? So, like, I'm sitting there just like, you know, sipping my whiskey. I'm just like, all right, yeah, nigga, do what you gotta do, nigga. Sometimes you gotta cut the bitch, you know? Like, but when this nigga started making his way towards her coochie, I was like, oh, nah, this nigga ain't really gonna do it. He ain't gonna do it. And if he does, we ain't gonna see this shit. So the nigga start cutting. I was like, oh, shit, what the fuck? Like, that's literally what my reaction was. I was like, oh, what the fuck? So the nigga starts cutting and cutting and cutting. And I'm like, okay, we ain't gonna see the shit. Nah, not Terrifier. Terrifier was like, nah, bitch. You ain't know about me. They had to pull a Beyonce on me. They was like, you must not know about me, nigga. You must not know about me. So all you see now is fucking Art the Clown slicing and dicing this bitch from her coochie all the way down to her sternum, down to like her fucking, and I gotta say that saw must be really tough to be cutting through bone like that, my nigga. I mean, this nigga had to go through like fucking spine and everything to cut this bitch in half. This nigga found like the perfect point. Like this nigga must be a doctor or something to know like, all right, this is the real surgically placed point where you gotta cut so that way you don't hit too much bone, but you just might hit enough bone to where that bitch can't walk anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like this nigga sliced and diced this bitch so perfectly down. I was just like, yo, what the fuck? I was so mind blown after that shit. It was even funnier watching this movie with friends because they felt like they were gonna be sick. I gotta say, like, if there's a movie to troll your friends with, this is definitely a movie to troll your friends with. This is where you find out how tough these motherfuckers really are when it comes to horror movies. You get to see who got the bitch brought out of them. Cause I feel like this movie is the movie that brings the bitch out of anybody. You know what I'm saying? Because now I could watch that scene and it's literally like an iconic scene. I mean, we see this scene memed all over fucking Instagram and everything like that. So for me, I'm just like, oh yeah, you know what? This is how we know who's a bitch and who's not a bitch. At least dealing with horror movies in a sense, because if a motherfucker could take seeing Art the Clown slice a bitch down from her coochie on down, that motherfucker probably is somebody you want to roll with during a haunted house, because y'all be goofing around and pissing off all the ghosts and shit. Oh man. But yeah, I don't know how Terrifier 2 is going to be, because I just feel like even though Saw is pretty gory, this movie takes it a step above. So I don't know what, you know, Damien Leone is going to do and everything like that. But my nigga, you must really you must have toned down the violence, or you put enough violence to where it was like people at the theaters was like, all right, nigga, we'll let you show your movie because we ain't got anything else, my nigga. We ain't got nothing else. I feel like they were so desperate to get a film in there. They were just like, yo, my nigga, it's October. We ain't got shit, you know? Halloween ends don't want to fuck with us like that. Come on and bring that bitch down. Oh man. Not to be sounding too trolly, because they are showing like Halloween ends in theater and on Peacock as well. So before anybody like get all Kung Fu Ninja in the comments like, oh my god, Doom, you got it all wrong. No, nigga, I know that it's showing in theaters and on Peacock as well. But anyway, I am gonna go ahead and take another break. But when I come back, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about some more shit. I know we're gonna talk about more shit, but some shit that I've seen on the internet, and then we're also going to have the slasher corner. So be right back. So as y'all know, if y'all follow me on Instagram, you know, I put a lot of like memes, some trolling shit, sometimes some fuck shit. But here's something that, you know, I kind of wanted to talk about with y'all today, and I might do this on a regular, more on the podcast. I don't know, maybe on the live whenever I feel like doing a live. Y'all haven't gotten a live in a while, and I kind of noticed that. But yeah, so I posted this one video about like this nigga who was eating like this fucking, actually he didn't even eat it. He actually just posted it. I guess he got like a lot of bugs on his fucking pizza and what have you. I don't know if it's because like the pizza place had a lot of bugs, or just like, I don't know, they made that pizza like that. But the post was would you eat that pizza for I believe it was like $1 billion or some shit like that, or $1 million. And what I did was like, I took a poll to see what you guys would say. Surprisingly enough, it was literally dead even. It was 50-50, which I'm like, some of y'all was like, fuck yeah, I'll eat that. Some of y'all was like, fuck that shit. And I don't blame y'all, because those bugs look really nasty. I mean, they look like some really nasty, like fucking roaches, you know, roaches that you just like don't want to even fucking run into. I mean, not to say like there are roaches you want to run into. Has anybody ever ran into a roach and just was like, "Oh my god, I want to take that roach as a pet," you know? Like, no, like, nigga, no one has ever done that. But these motherfucking bugs, they look so fucking gross. I was just like, ugh, nope, nope, nope. But then it made me think, like, well, how much of this pizza do I really need to eat? Because yeah, if you told me like, okay, you could take a bite and you have to swallow that one bite, for the $1 million, it's like, okay. But then it's like you have to eat the whole pizza. It's like, I don't know how I would get through it. I'm sorry, but the only strangest thing I have ever ate in my whole entire life were crickets. My boy, he's Mexican. We went to like this authentic Mexican restaurant, and one of the snacks that are from like the area that he's from, um they're like little crickets. Like the crickets are like pretty much a meal. They're like a appetizer type meal. I don't know how they prepare these motherfuckers, but apparently, like, they do whatever they gotta do to kind of like cook the fucking cricket and what have you. And pretty much, kind of like you eat the motherfuckers like, kind of like almost like sunflower seeds or like chips or what have you. You just put a cricket in your mouth and you eat that motherfucker. I don't know how many of y'all actually experienced eating bugs before. I know in like certain countries, eating bugs is like a regular thing. That's just shit that they do and what have you. Me personally, I can't see myself eating a bug. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just imagine like eating a fucking tarantula, my nigga. That shit grosses me out by so much. I mean, one, that motherfucker is hairy than a. I mean, just imagine that hairy motherfucker going in your mouth. And then I would assume, like, because it is a tarantula, I mean, it got a little bit of like fucking meat on that motherfucker. It's not like built like other insects where that motherfucker could get squashed really easy. I mean, I gotta say, this motherfucker probably got like fucking, little spider bones or some shit like that. Well, I mean, I don't want to say it got like fucking bones and gross somebody out or think like I'm correct, but I'm just saying like this motherfucker probably got like a little bit more flesh on it if it got like fucking fur and shit like that. And I'm pretty sure the meat, the meat of that tarantula is probably not that delectable. I mean, it probably tastes all gamey and shit, kind of like, if you ever ate rabbit before. I mean, rabbit is it's good, but it's like, it's kind of gamey, it's kind of like tough ass meat, you gotta chew on it a lot and shit like that. But yeah, just me imagining like eating a fucking tarantula, that shit kind of low key grosses me out, you know? Or just like, and I'm pretty sure there's probably like a country somewhere where they're eating like tarantulas on a regular. But at first I was like, going back to the story, by the way, at first I was kind of like reluctant to try these fucking Jiminy Crickets out, but they actually were pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Strangest thing I've ever ate. Probably the only strangest thing I really ate in my entire life, but really good. I'm not gonna lie, really good. I know one time working for my job, I told like, because I kind of work with like kids and all that, but I told this one kid like, yeah, I ate this cricket one time, and motherfucker looked at me like I was crazy. That look kids give you when they hear something strange and they look at you all funny like you the crazy motherfucker. That's the look the kid gave me, like nigga, are you crazy? Like he may not be able to put the words together, but that was probably like the words he was thinking with that look. It was like, nigga, are you serious? Like, But yeah, man. But I just gotta say, like, if you haven't tried crickets before, y'all niggas gotta eat that shit. But anyway, another thing that I want to talk about real quick, before we go on to any more into the slasher corner. Um I did this post about Rob Zombie's A Nightmare on Elm Street, and I kind of wanted to get people's take on what they thought would have been a very weird movie if Rob Zombie remade it or did it himself. I mean, just sitting there thinking about like if Rob Zombie did Nightmare on Elm Street, I feel like it would have been appropriate because Rob Zombie is pretty vulgar with his language, pretty vulgar with sometimes his violence and gory with it. So him doing a Freddy Krueger movie makes sense to me. I recently watched the Monsters movie. I'm not gonna give you guys my opinion about it right now because I never really watched the Monsters show. So I'm gonna watch like a couple of episodes of the Monsters and then revisit this movie afterwards. I I was wondering like what would be a weird movie that Rob Zombie was would make. And I did it more of like an anonymous because I didn't want to know what people were thinking, honestly. I didn't want to know what you guys were thinking. But boy, oh boy, did y'all motherfuckers did not follow the assignment because when I say tell me a movie, only one person told me a movie. And you know what this motherfucker said? This dude said the one suggested movie that he said was Roots. Roots. Can you imagine Rob Zombie remaking Roots? I literally I'm picturing it inside my head, and we all know Sherry Moon Zombie is gonna be in this film somewhere along the line, and somehow she's gonna be the main star. And it's like, are we gonna be following the slave owners? Like, how is this gonna be made? Because eventually we all know, like in Rob Zombie's movies, Sherry Moon Zombie is going to be a main character. Sherry Moon Zombie is never really a secondary character. And even in the movie Fantastic Beast, or not Fantastic Beast, or I forget whatever that movie is called, but Beasto, El Beasto, Super, whatever that nigga's name was. Even in that movie, with her character being like, I guess a sidekick, if I can remember, she wasn't even much of like a secondary character. She was still kind of like still in the show. So we all know somewhere along the line, Sherry Moon Zombie is gonna play a character that's a main person, that's a mainstay, that's like someone we gotta pay attention to in the film. And to have her in Roots, I swear it's like, my nigga, are we gonna be sitting here watching movies about the slave owners? It's just gonna be like them whipping niggas telling them like, yeah, pick that cotton faster, and all that. And then it's like, I kind of want to see that movie because you know what? I kind of want to see Kunta Kinte call whatever slave master or an overseer a cracker. Like, I mean, I could imagine it at this moment. I mean, yeah, this movie might be really gory and it's gonna be really fucking depressing considering like the type of movie that it is. I mean, it's gonna be very depressing. I'm sorry. Is it going to be good? It's not gonna be good at all. It's gonna be fucking terrible, by the way. This is gonna be like the worst fucking movie ever by Rob Zombie. But it's gonna be hilarious in so many ways, but it shouldn't even be hilarious. It's like one of those movies that's going to be funny, but it shouldn't even be funny. You know what I'm saying? Here's a movie that I feel like Rob Zombie could kind of get away, but it'll still be terrible. It's a terrible idea. I spitballed a couple of ideas where like Rob Zombie, if because someone said Roots, I was like, well, you know what? If he's gonna fuck up a black movie, let's pick another black movie for him to fuck up. So another black movie I feel like that would be funny but it'll be terrible that he fucked it up. Candyman. Now here's a movie that if he were to remake it, he could actually use Sherry Moon in the film as what's her face? Virginia Madsen's character Helen. You know, she could literally be Helen in the movie because Helen is literally like the main character throughout that film. Now, the thing with Helen is like Helen went through shit, bro. She went through a hell of a lot of shit. And if anything, like Rob Zombie tries to protect his wife from looking like a weak character throughout all of his films. Besides Lords of Salem. I mean, even with Lords of Salem, his wife still looked like a strong character in it. But for the most part, he tries to make his wife look like a strong character throughout all of his films. So imagine like Sherry Moon going through hell. Hell. And I'm pretty sure a lot of us want to see that shit. At least I do. You know, like all the hell that Helen goes through in Candyman, you know, and it's like, I'm pretty sure you can't get Tony Todd, but I feel like because it's Rob Zombie, he'll still try and get Tony Todd in his advanced years because for whatever reason, Rob Zombie likes to use really like old characters or like just old actors playing roles and what have you. And sometimes they play like roles that are way past their prime and what have you, you know, like I don't know how old Sherry Moon Zombie was when she played Baby in House of a Thousand Corpses, but I feel like that character was supposed to be in her early 20s, but I'm pretty sure Sherry Moon Zombie was like in her 40s by then. You know, I mean, the woman is still hot. I'm not going to take that away from her. She's a hot woman, you know, and you know, sometimes she has a nice ass in these films, but for the most part, I'm just like, yo, like, should she even be playing these roles? Like, but that'll be an interesting movie to watch, you know, something that none of y'all kind of suggested in the anonymous shit. But you know what? I'm gonna tell you this. What I did get was a bunch of fuck shit. I swear, y'all really do know how to troll me in these anonymous questions and confessions, you know? Like I keep getting shit like, "Oh, I think you're attractive," or like, "Oh, I like the way you look," or you know, or I wish I could look like you. I got that today, but yeah, it was so weird, like with some of the shit I was getting. I was just like, my nigga, what are y'all talking about? So I'm sorry if I have to troll you guys, but y'all are trolling me first because I gotta troll back. But then I get questions like, do you value your life? I have to sit back right now. I'm sorry. And this is where like we gotta get into the discussion about like how personal can you get with the internet, you know? And for me, like questions like that, I feel like you should literally troll the shit out of people with that. You know, I don't remember what my response was, but it was like, I know what went on in my head when I saw that question. I was like, well, nigga, what are you expecting me to say? That no, I don't like my life. I hate my life. I want to die or some shit like that. No, nigga, I'm not going to say that. This is the internet. What the fuck? Who the fuck is gonna go on the internet say that bullshit? Even if I did feel that way, I still wouldn't say that shit, you know? But I just thought it was like a weird question for someone to ask. Because personally, I just feel like it gets to the point where like I think about like all the kids that are like in high school, middle school, sometimes elementary because kids are bad as fuck, you know, that have social media pages and they do shit like this, you know, and sometimes they go into these things expecting real answers and then they sometimes answers this shit honestly. And I'm thinking like, why? Why do you feel so inclined to tell the honest truth about shit that's personal with you to people who don't really deserve that shit, you know? And I mean, I hate to kind of like, bring this into like a whole realm of like introspective thinking or, what have you. But I mean, I couldn't help but feel like, yo, what goes on through these kids' mind when they're answering shit like this? And I'm pretty sure like, if they did the confessions and if they're a kid that gets bullied a lot, I'm pretty sure they got some pretty hateful messages and what have you, Me, on the other hand, if I see a hateful message, I'm gonna post that shit on my page and be like, look at this dumb motherfucker over here thinking like they doing something to me. Like, because in the end, it's the internet. I could literally like block a motherfucker and it's the end of the story. You know what I'm saying? But some niggas live on the internet. Some niggas believe like everything they see on the internet is true and what have you. And I know some niggas like to take their internet energy and put it out in the real world, which is like, why would you do that? Keep that shit in the internet, That's real life. But yeah, I just want to say, I like y'all trolling me. I like y'all coming up with like weird questions that y'all asking me because I find that shit funny. And I try my best to troll y'all as best as I can. If that shit is funny to you, hey, let that shit be funny to you. If you don't find that shit funny and you took it too hard, I'm sorry to say, tough titty, motherfucker. Because this is the internet. You're giving me an anonymous question. I don't know who the fuck you are. Especially the motherfuckers that go, our signs are compatible. Motherfucker, I don't care. I'm sorry. What does that mean to me? Like, am I supposed to be like, oh my God, our signs are compatible? I got a match, y'all. Like, no. Like, shut up. I don't care. It was funny to see like someone sent me a confession. No. Actually, it wasn't a confession. It was a single. I'm not single. It was a question asking me if I was single. And I just looked at this shit. I was just like, my nigga, where are you? Either you're a bot or you're a person that really is not paying attention to what's happening on my Instagram page or what's happening on my podcast. But yeah, I just told the motherfucker, you need to look at more World of Doom. That's pretty much it. But I feel like this is going on long enough. But yeah, y'all just keep sending them questions. And right now we're going to go ahead and get into the slasher corner. Let's go ahead and bust out that motherfucking music by Cali the Wolf. All right, y'all. So this is one more last post recording now. Listening to the episode, I feel like maybe some people might misconstrue possibly some of the things I say as far as like, people who are asking questions about valuing life and what have you. And I understand that there are people that are going to be like depressed and probably are looking for answers, and they're probably trying to find solace into like creators and all that to kind of like help influence them to think more positive than negative and what have you. I understand all that. My only gripe that I was kind of making was that for those that probably could possibly misconstrue, I was kind of focusing more on like people who are just trolling in general, and you kind of know and tell when someone is kind of trolling you. Now, as far as like dealing with like questions like valuing your life and what have you, I mean, honestly, for me, I feel like nobody should seek any type of answers from like a creator or anything like that. I mean, the only thing I want to do is kind of help create some positive influence for those that, probably don't see themselves like myself, because I've dealt with mental health issues as well, and kind of like find ways that are better suited for them, or better situations, or better hobbies and or activities to kind of help them, push them to be more happy. That I am always like welcoming. I'm always welcoming also like those that seek help for themselves. Now, as far as like, probably like someone who is possibly asking a real legitimate question, like, maybe they feel depressed or they want to find answers for valuing their life. The same thing I'm doing right now, I would tell you, is like, just find the things that help you think positive, find the things that will make you happy. That's really all it is, because it took me a while to find what makes me happy as well. But yeah, don't think like I'm out here trying to joke on people who deal with mental health, because honestly, I feel like the problem is that there's too many people that put their honest opinions out there, but then get bullied for their opinions later on. And people who do have that vulnerable mindset, they end up getting bullied to the point of feeling like they want to be suicidal and what have you, or self-deletion and what have you, because they feel like there's no other way to kind of deal with that issue. So for anybody that kind of like think like, you know, I was kind of like ragging or talking shit about people who deal with problems, just know that wasn't it. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and take a break and go to the Slasher Corner.
Now get my way, bitch.
Alright, so as y'all know, I got a must-watch Slasher Corner movie of the week. And this Slasher Corner movie of the week, since we talked about Rob Zombie for a little bit, I just want to say, go ahead and watch that Rob Zombie's The Monsters movie. I mean, again, I'm not going to give you guys too much of my input or what I felt about it, because, again, I need to watch the TV show. But definitely, if y'all want to watch that movie is on Netflix. It's out right now. Of course, you know, it stars Sherry Moon Zombie and a bunch of motherfuckers Rob Zombie collabs with. I mean, what else is there to tell you? I mean, I do find it interesting, though, that this movie is a PG movie, and it does have some adult themes in it. And honestly, I can tell you one thing. I could tell, sorry for a moment, I wasn't even talking to my mic, but I could tell where, like, I could tell Rob Zombie's writing for anything. Like, you could tell the parts where, like, Rob Zombie really wanted to make this a really vulgar monsters movie. If he could. Like, he could. Like, these niggas would have been saying all types of motherfuckers and all this other types of shit, you know? And I really am surprised that he had that much restraint to not do that. But you could tell in certain parts, you know, where characters probably would have said fuck, shit, bitch, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, check that movie out, and I'm about to get off, you know, for the day. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, whenever the fuck you guys are listening to this. Shouts out to you, Team Doom, for, you know, 4 years of just support. You know, not that many of y'all, but hey, I support that. You know, you guys support me. I do appreciate that. You know, shout out to my boys Algorithm C, Callie the Wolf, for doing their thing. You know, shouts out to all my collaborators, you know, that collaborated with me, that came onto the show. And, you know, if y'all want to follow me on the socials are The Walter Doom on TikTok and Twitter, Walter Doom on Instagram, and Walter Doom wherever streaming and watching videos are possible, which is YouTube. And other than that, this has been an episode of Let's Talk About Horror. This is America. Don't let them catch you slipping now. Stay diabolical, people. It's spooky season, motherfucker. Peace.